Welcome back to Echo Ridge. Today is going to be a little bit of a hodgepodge episode. Starting off with building a new SPOM because we're about to circle up over 120 dupes. In fact, we just printed dupe number 119. In this case, I chose the Sonyar because Sonyar has the electrical engineering booster, so they'll be able to help out with all of the Engie's tune-ups. So welcome to the colony, dupe number 119, Takara. I also need to figure out a solution for the saltwater and brine geysers because, well, any old dupe can come down here in the desalinator. In fact, Chris Snyder is now swimming in the water to come get a microchip. So more often than not, it's going to be a bionic dupe because remember the desalinator needs to be, well, desalinated. So I either need to seal this thing up and put the desalinator on the outside, maybe after a good sweep, or figure out another solution. I also need to update this room here. You can see that it's over pressure even with all of these gas pumps, despite the fact even that these two gas pumps are often inside of a vacuum. And I don't want to lose any of the precious water out of here, so I am going to have to get in here and open this whole area up. It won't be too bad, although the bionic dupes are going to go down there and start spending some of their energy. But we're up to 11.5 megajoules, so we might be able to deal with it for a little bit. I'm also not sure why some of these goodies are not being picked up, and they should be to be dropped off here, which will help prevent more dupes coming in here. For instance, there's a bunch of clay there. Why aren't you picking up the clay? Oh, this auto sweeper can't even see this conveyor loader. It needs to be put in upside down. Because remember, the point of interest tile is the bottom here, and this auto sweeper cannot see it. I suppose we'll just put in another right here, and that will take care of that. Other than that, everything else is picked up here. So the only thing dupes should be doing down here is building this, so hopefully we do not get too many bionic dupes. But we all know how that goes. I'm also finishing off this cooling plate for all the oxygen that's coming through. You remember, we put in the aqua tuner that is also cooling all these steam turbines, and we were going to extend this cooling loop. But now that I'm looking at it, I don't think I want to, for the simple reason I want our Draco area to keep warming up. It's slowly getting there thanks to the warm Draco boys, but there's no reason to send a cooling loop all the way up here because, well, we don't want it cool. Speaking of the Draco farms, I've also put in a bunch of timer sensors. Most of them I've already connected. And this way we can power on our incubators so they can be lullabied. Now the key here though is I do not want all of the incubators to be on at the exact same time. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to reset this timer, copy its settings, and as soon as this timer goes to red, I'm then going to turn this incubator on. Oh boy, we already have a bunch of suffocation messages. What are we doing down here? No, there was nothing for you to do. Oh, we're going to pick up the one piece of slime. Did I miss this incubator going off? Nope, not yet. And now that it's off, I'm going to copy the settings over to this one. And so its green cycle will start. And I'm going to do that for each and every incubator. Doing this helps you save power in the long run because the incubators only need to be powered on to get lullabied. Once they're lullabied, the incubator can power off. So that's why we put the timer sensors in there. That way they're not all being powered at the same time. And by doing that, you help prevent huge power spikes on your network since only one incubator is going to be turned on at 240 watts at a time, except for this guy that has not been plugged in yet. But it also gives your ranchers a better opportunity to be able to lullaby each egg. Now in this colony, I have probably 25 ranchers, so it's not a big deal. But on a standard colony, you might only have 2 or 3 ranchers. Here we go again. What on earth are you still doing down there? Oh, they're coming all the way over here to get all these goodies. Maybe I just deal with this once and for all and have them come pick all this stuff up. I'm gonna deal with a couple of hundred suffocation messages over the few minutes and I'll let you know what kind of progress we finish up with. Maybe this wasn't such a good idea due to the errand lag and having a lot of things down here. Maybe I should just put in some more auto sweepers and conveyor loaders. Yeah, this is probably a much smarter idea. So I'll cancel these sweeps. Oops, it's got rid of one of our auto sweepers. And then all I have to do is put in a bunch of conveyor loaders. Here, I think these two can share. These two can share. I think these three can share. Look at that. Ooh la la. Connect everything up with some rails. I'll have this one being dropped off right here. This one can go down into this line. Yeah, this is going to work out just fine. I also need to power this whole thing, which I suppose I can just add another transformer. And there we go. After a little bit of construction and suffocation messages, all of that stuff will be swept too. Granted, it's going to take a little while, but once we have everything installed, I can then block access to this area and it'll all eventually be swept up. And I will do that the same way by putting in an access door, say right here. I'll also have to remove these because otherwise you'll just jump onto the pneumatic door and then jump onto these ladders. Over here in our saltwater pond, ooh, there's polluted water in here. Who did this? Well, that's going to cause some problems in the future. Maybe I could prevent it by putting a tile there. I was putting in a new desalinator, not underwater, when I realized we still have this on a separate network. So I need to send some power over here. I also have two more networks over here that are not on the main power spine yet either. But I have a pair of transformers ready here. I will send the first one over. It's a long run because it's all the way on the other side of our colony. But such is life when you only have the power spine running down one side of the colony. I do have it coming all the way up over here, but we don't have this cleared up yet. You know what? Maybe that's a good reason why I eventually get to that, huh? So I can send the power spine all the way up to the right side of the colony too, so I don't have to have a ridiculously long run coming all the way over. So long and short of it is, I'm going to keep this on its own separate network for now. Another update on the bionic dupes is I've started to do their schedules a little differently. A standard bionic schedule looks something like this, but it poses a couple of problems. The first being that they only go into their barracks once every 3 cycles. Combine that with the fact that we didn't have the bionic dupes on downtime means they weren't getting a lot of morale. But what a better system might be is instead of them sleeping once every 3 days, have them sleep a little bit shorter every day. I'm also going to give them a little bit of downtime, and that way they hit their barracks every single day and they'll have a little bit of downtime every single day. This should help prevent any sort of morale issues which are negatively impacting stress because a lot of them have a morale deficit, at least on the cycles that they weren't hitting their barracks. We have all the auto sweepers and conveyor loaders set up on this side. Unfortunately, I had not sealed it off quite yet, and we have a bionic dupe that is incapacitated. Lucky for Matthew though, they still have 43 kilos worth of oxygen, so they should be okay. As long as someone gets them a power bank soon, and it looks like someone is Queen Calero saving the day. So as soon as we finish this little project here, I will change the permissions on the door so that they can only pass up through it, because this is just ridiculous. And it's already time for our next dupe, and we actually have an option for a regular dupe. This Freya does have noodle arms, but they start with 10 strength anyways. So their noodle arm still results in a +7 overall strength. Welcome to the colony, duplicate number 120. Time to get the SPOM running, Devin Corey. Because the bionic dupe was underwater when they were being repaired, they couldn't even make it out of the pond before they needed another battery because the battery drained so quickly in the water. And their oxygen tanks are down to 38 kilos now. Over here on the right side of the map, I've set up some more conveyor loaders and auto sweepers so that we can get all the goodies from the bottom of this saltwater basin. There is some polluted water in there, probably from when dupes were peeing themselves. Who knows when that happened? So just in case, I put in a small water filter, which is filtering out all the clean water. Anything else is going to end up inside this buffer tank, and all the debris is going to end up right here. I'd love to put the desalinator on the outside, and I did try it for a few minutes, but because it's carbon dioxide down here, this thing was overheating entirely too fast, so it has to be in a little bit of water. But considering it's the sort of top part, if it does end up being a bionic dupe that desalinates the desalinator, they should be okay considering they're not going swimming. But that water is going all the way back to our regular basin, and it's going to be responsible for feeding SPOM number 5 that is now online. It'll take a few minutes for me to get the hydrogen settled, but other than that, this one should be done. Need to set some of these atmo sensors, but as soon as I see nothing but pure hydrogen coming out, then I'll connect it in with the hydrogen generators and have all that overflow once again going all the way back to our hydrogen spine. For a temporary solution, I did extend the power spine over here, and that way I could have a power transformer just for all of these things here, because for one, the 2-strand wire was not going to cut it, but for two, it'll save us a little bit of dupe labor by not having more dupes on wheels. Now the SPOM itself is sending its oxygen down here. The left pair is sending it all the way over here. I'm probably going to add another gas vent right here in the middle. And I am going to switch around these bridges. That way the natural gas is on the bridge instead of the oxygen, because right now this vent's only going to get oxygen if this whole thing is overflowing, which is not what we want. There we go. That is much better. This one took a little bit longer to stabilize, but now we are there. Hook in right here. And of course we have that one blob of oxygen as normal, but that's the reason why I leave these doors open. That way we can repair that hydrogen generator easy peasy. But now I can connect that, and now all the excess hydrogen will head off to the hydrogen spine, and that should be enough power. I can get rid of these wheels too. And there we have it. We now have oxygen up to duplicate number 150. Last thing to do is to reset the hydrogen gas pump to say above 250. And why all of a sudden are we having brownout? Time to go back over here. We have plenty of natural gas. So the natural gas generators are still running. Hydrogen's still running. I just noticed some of these are on heavy watt wire instead of heavy watt conductive wire. I thought we had gone directly to conductive wire, but I must have messed up when connecting those. Not that it's having a big difference right now, but the entire power spine has a current load of around 16 kilowatt. If it got above 20 kilowatts, the standard heavy watt wire wouldn't be able to handle the load. And I have no idea how long this printing pod's been going. Apparently I did a pause about the same time it was activated, so we have another dupe slippage. Oh, come on, Frankie, be the one. Slow learner and bottomless stomach. Unfortunately, we are going to be doing another bionic dupe, and we'll go with the advanced medical booster. Bionic dupes that can take care of bionic dupes by creating more gear bomb is just better for all of us. Welcome to duplicate number 121, Grace. As I'm in here giving Grace their first skill point into schematics, you'll notice that now all of the bionic dupes have a morale of around 6. Some of them are a little bit higher at 7, and I believe that to be due to the new schedule changes that we made. Grace, you need to go on to bionic shift C, as does Dakara. That puts our bionic count up to 9, 18, 28. With 28 bionic dupes, I need at least 14 of the power bank chargers, which we do have, so no big deal. I am trying to get ahead of the curve. Because of all that swimming we did, we're down to 6.4 megajoules, but eventually we're going to need even more power bank chargers. I really need to think about what the maximum dupe I'm going to print out is. On the good news front, this little area is completed. I need to make sure the doors are shut now. Duplicates can only go up through them. So I can get back in here and start removing all of these tiles. This is going to allow the cool steam vent to have a lot more area to vent into, so we shouldn't be seeing these overpressures. There's been quite a few comments about this setup on each video, with some people saying this is an incredible waste of power moving this much steam around in this fashion, with some people suggesting I let it condense and then pump it with a liquid pump. Unfortunately, and I know it's been several episodes, so people may have forgotten, we're geotuning this cool steam vent, which means it's coming out at 210C. So unless I separated it from the sauna itself and then tried some active cooling, which at this point would be very difficult considering of the 210C, this is a decent method to deal with it. One good idea that a few people have remarked upon is the usage of doors to push all the steam out. And that method could also work, but I do believe it would still overpressure itself from time to time. Oh, Jackie, you're not going to be able to get out, are you? Sorry, Jackie, I forgot about that. I do need to add in some more temperature shift plates, though. Here we go. Now, once we finish a few more temperature shift plates and seal this thing back up, of course, the cool steam vent is going to be dormant by the time that happens. Not a huge deal. But hopefully by next activity period, this system will work right as rain. With the idea being, with so much more area, the cool steam vent will be able to erupt into, the gas pumps will be able to keep up, clearing out enough steam before its next eruption cycle, and hopefully avoiding any sort of overpressures. Another minor update is the pond here is completely drained, so I can now get in here, mop the rest of it up, and we can make do with this space with what we want. I'm not exactly sure what we're going to do with it. And why is there still hydrogen stuck in there? Well, that would be the fault of this bridge. I also need to get in here and mop all that up, and then we'll have more space for activities. I have no idea what we're going to do with it yet. In fact, I don't know what we're going to do with a lot of this stuff. It makes me wish I could have gone back in the beginning and had a different sort of design. What I'll probably end up doing is putting them in suits sometime. Maybe for the oil biome, since it's so hot down here. We already have the suits in place for it, but the rest is just going to be a giant mess, and then we'll sort through the mess when we're done with it. Not my best plan ever, but it's a plan. I'll be somewhat careful with the liquids. The gases I don't really care about. We have the vacuum system, but it'd be great if I could drop all of this liquid at the same time. So that'll take a little bit of creative building. Why don't I try to get in from the top? Say right through this biome here. We'll just chop through, and then I can go all the way down. And then we'll have to take a break to deal with this cool steam vent, and then we can keep going further down. Another slime biome. More tundra biomes. Oy, what a mess. And of course, it's time for another dupe. We have 2 boops with a digging booster and 1 with the advanced medical booster. I don't necessarily want our bionic dupes to be doing digging because they have a bigger chance of getting wet. So I'm going to take the advanced medical booster once again. Welcome to the colony, duplicate number 122. J. The great thing about getting rid of more abyssalite is this just means more eco power banks. Not that we don't already have plenty. I've also queued up another 95 of them. Considering we have 840 tons worth of abyssalite. I queued up more because I've noticed some of the power bank chargers don't have any eco power banks charge. And I need to remember every time that I print out a new bionic dupe, well, that's another 4 eco power banks that the colony needs. For those of you wondering, with our bionic dupes, we could be giving them additional boosters. With a 6 morale, I could unlock more of their skills because they do gain experience, which then you can give them more booster slots or better athletics, and then just make more boosters. The reason why I really haven't been is because I really don't think it matters. With 122 dupes, I have enough dupes to do whatever we want. So if you were really in the mood, you could get micro-intensive and start really playing with each individual dupe's skills, but to be quite frank, I don't think it's necessary here. I occasionally go in and making sure our regular dupes are being skilled up. For instance, Matropolis here has probably been waiting for a little bit, so I put them into suit sustainability training and give them a more improved carry. Every dupe on the colony is getting this setup, but the bionic dupes, I really haven't had much to do with, other than giving them some athletics. Maybe I'll just give them all the first 3, so it'll give them 1 extra booster slot, 50% grinding gears penalty reduction, and a +2 athletics. And it won't cost them too much in morale. This way, I don't have to think about what every individual bionic dupe is doing. Rather, I know if it's a bionic dupe, that's the treatment it's going to get. Some of them I had been starting to give advanced schematics because they get both the booster slot and the +2 to athletics. Maybe that was the better plan to begin with. Maybe we'll increase their downtime to give them a little bit better on morale. And when that happens, I can also throw them into advanced schematics too. And I suppose I can start printing out some new boosters to give them some more capabilities. For instance, it might be smart to do suit training boosters from +5 to athletics, or give a few of them the ranching booster. All it takes is microchips. And we have 253 microchips, because remember, that's what the bionic dupes produce when they're meditating during their sleep time. Otherwise, if you didn't care about the microchips, you don't even need to have them sleep. The biggest reason I do it though is so they get the +1 to morale for being in a barracks. I just realized by digging through all this, we're about to get ourselves a lot more slime. So those mushrooms are going to end up lasting a lot longer than I had expected them to. We're up to 2.6 million calories, and we're just now starting to get the Drecos online. We have almost 2 ranches full, with the third one coming now. The digging in the top right is going decent. I'm waiting for the water to drop, and then I'll start coming in from this side as well. Remember, I don't care about these gases other than the fact I want to make sure that they can breathe down here. There's a little bit of polluted oxygen, so we might get some yucky lungs. I'm not too worried about it though. Remember, we do have the slime lung treatment set on automatic, and that's via the medical packs, which we have set up to make sure we always have 10 on hand. And this is a perfect reason why I do not want bionic dupes doing the digging. I need to make sure this water is draining faster than we are digging. That should help. Now all I have to do is make sure one of the 40 some odd dupes that are doing this excavation don't get stuck. Oh my goodness, I just realized that we're apparently all out of coal. And because of that, this whole system has not been running for quite some time. And if you forgot where this damage came from, remember we had messed up on our loop and it was being backfed by a polluted water return. So the thermal aqua tuner was always running, so little packets of polluted water got stuck in various parts of the aqua tuner. But since we are out of power here, I guess that forces my hand about putting this thing on the power spine. On the positive though, we can at least gain all these materials back, but I will still need to put a battery here to tell the steam turbines when to turn on, and then somehow get the power spine up here. Well, this is gonna be ugly. Not to mention the decor is going to be absolutely horrible, but I think we'll just go straight up through here. Where they're sleeping? No, that does not seem like a good idea. We will go further over like this, and then connect them like that. Oh, what a mess. I'm going to have to add some transformers here to get these thermal aqua tuners back on. I have to clear out all of this, which I suppose I don't necessarily have to clear out the whole thing. I just need to be able to get in there. So I will put one ladder rung here, and then we'll just dig through here. And look, there's another Dreco we can add to the collection. And I suppose since we're digging this out anyways, I can put the transformers right here. And we have a mess. I'll show you once it's all finished up that it's going to look a little bit better. But until then, our cool steam vent is not being cooled, nor is the right side of our base to include our mushroom farm. So this is going to take priority over this digging for a little while. And look at that, it's time for another dupe. In the interest of not taking more bionic dupes, I'm going to take this Bert. This might be the luckiest Bert ever, because I don't think I've ever printed out a doctor suit-wearing farmer who's also a plant murderer. Welcome to duplicate number 123, Jack of all Norse. The digging's doing really well. Try not to mind all the messes here, but we're going to pick these up as we go. And the lower we get and the more we drop that water, the more entrances I can open up, which makes it easier for the dupes to get in and out, and makes it easier for them to breathe with oxygen being around here. You can see we have duplicants mopping things up as the tiles are being dug. I tell you what, there's a lot of pain in a max dupe run, but some things are both funny and easier because you have so many dupes. I do need to get all this bleach stone picked up immediately though, because chlorine is bad. I just realized when I was getting ready to set up those steam turbines on the top right that I had not put these on a battery. That is a big oopsie. Now that I'm looking at it, I need to make sure that I want them on a battery. So what I think I'm going to do is make them turn on whenever we get above atmospheric pressure here, or when the battery says so. I'll also need a temperature sensor. That way the steam turbines also turn on if it gets too hot. Okay, so the Atmo sensor is going to tell the steam turbines, hey, we need to turn on because we need to get rid of some steam pressure. That will happen anytime it's above 18K. Or when the battery says, hey, we need power. Or once again, if it ends up being too hot in here. And I'll set that here in a second. The only thing I'm not sure about is I want the liquid shutoff to be on the same green signal. Up in the top right, our power spine has been extended and the steam turbines are on the smart battery. Our coolant loops are being cooled and the cool steam vent is being tamed. Luckily, the cool steam vent just came out of dormancy, so the water wasn't able to get too hot before I had disconnected it earlier. Or I guess before we ran out of coal. Our digging went amazing and we're rewarded with about 30 more tons of slime, bringing our total up to 100 tons. And we still have plenty more slime biomes to go. Suppose we can open all of this up now. I have to be a little bit more careful with the ice biome here because it's just going to keep melting. So I think what we'll do is dig in from here It should all fall right there, and I'll end up sweeping that up. We still have our long-term ice storage way up here, and the ice is still sitting around -30 to -25. With this cool steam vent dormant, and this room all vacuumed out, we don't have anything that's adding to the steam pressure here in our sauna. So in that case, I kind of want to throw the natural gas generators in there. That way we can still capture all that water, although we are already capturing it here. At the minimum, it'd be more efficient to put these into a power plant, which, by the way, I found out you do not need these power control stations anymore. Any room that has 2 heavy-duty generators in it turns itself into a power plant automatically. Maybe instead of moving them, I'll just end up extending the spine. It might be a pain in the tuchus because, well, it's not vacuumed out, but I could seal it up. Have this gas pump vacuum it out. It might take a little while. Uh-oh, why are we suffocating? Well, get out of the carbon dioxide. Just trying to record a video here. Dupe's always trying to cause some problems. I mean, I have been complaining that this sauna is too small, although I would have to turn off the natural gas generators for a little bit, clean all this up because there's a lot of polluted dirt. Yeah, I guess why not? I'll start by extending the insulated tiles all the way over to here. I'll have to relocate this pinch row egg because the sauna is a little too warm for it. How about right here? And then once we do that, we can relocate the poke shell. Now, while we are doing this, we are probably running into a little bit of power problems because we do need the natural gas generators and their 2400 watts they produce, which the good thing is once they're inside the sauna in their own power plant, they will be producing twice that. I will use this battery to turn them off. It's now set on 0 and 0, which I suppose does not work if the battery runs dry. So I will just disconnect the battery like that. And now we need to mop all this up, get all that polluted water out. And I will also remove the automation from this gas pump so it continuously vacuums everything out. And I'll even throw in a couple of extra. Now the highest I'm probably going to go is right here because I've already made this nice little joint plate. Man, it would be so much cleaner if I could just do that. But I will not need the power spine all the way. Oh, this is going to be a pain in the butt. Because when the place is vacuumed out, there's going to be a certain amount of time that the power transformers are just going to go up in temperature. Plus, they still need to be on the spine itself. Maybe this is not a good idea. Here at Cycle 366, we have the choice between an ulti bionic dupe or a nails. This ulti is a digger, which you know how I feel about that. So I think we're going to take the loud sleeping and Luddite nails. This is probably another first for me. Welcome to duplicate number 124, Mustang Cody. I'm also going to need to sever this connection for now, because if it does bring in any polluted dirt, it would end up crushing our vacuum, and we don't want that. There is some off-gassing materials down here. I think there's polluted dirt, so we'll get all that scooped up as well. Now, how am I going to fix the power situation? I suppose 2 of those transformers are only running those pumps, so we don't care much about that. The 3rd and 4th one are running all the conveyor loaders and the auto sweepers, so those can be paused as well. So as soon as this thing becomes a vacuum, I will end up disconnecting the power spine from here. That way they're not producing any power and therefore not producing any heat. And then I'll just have to open the whole thing up from the inside, of course. But I think that project's going to have to wait until the next episode. All of our digging up here in the top right is pretty much done. We have the automated sweeping happening in the somewhat contaminated saltwater basin. Most of our polluted water basin has been swept other than the little areas left before I cut off the conveyor rail. Everything down here is looking pretty nice. We're up to 11.6 megajoules, which is about where we were at the beginning of the episode. But we have about 7 more dupes, so that's something, right? Next episode, I think I'm going to continue digging all through here, making a huge mess, and possibly even finish digging all of this outside the oil biome. Let me know in the comments below what else you think we should accomplish as we keep printing more and more dupes. So until next time, much love, happy gaming, and I'll talk to you soon.